Hello, I'd like to order some food for delivery. It's chow time!
Sorry.
Video review. I'm better than you. We're better than Siskel and Ebert too.
I'm Tom Wilson.
And I'm Joe Malone. And this is CHOWTIME! Video review.
Coming at you, America. How you doing this week, Joe?
I'm feeling great, man.
All right.
I'm feeling good. I'm a little geeky, you know?
You ready to power rise to some serious movie reviewing?
Yeah, super. You got it.
Sober as a duck. All right.
Quack, quack.
Well, we've got 4 very interesting movies this week, America, and we're going to run them right down for you. This week, we're going to look at Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962 classic with Bette Davis and Joan Crawford.
Directed by Robert Aldrich.
That's right. We're also going to look at a 1965 movie. It's called The Pawnbroker. It's directed by Sidney Lumet, and it's starring Rod Steiger. We're also going to look at our comedy of the week, 1978 movie, directed by Burt Reynolds, starring Burt Reynolds. It's called The End. It's also got Dom Deluise in it.
In his debut.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. I heard they were good friends in real life.
They became great friends on that set.
Oh, is that right? Interesting. Okay, and the final movie is a sci-fi flick. It's called ZARDOZ.
The Wrath of God. In parentheses.
1974 movie, written, directed by, and produced by John Borman of Excalibur fame, and
yeah.
starring Sean Connery in a big red diaper.
Yeah, I think Believe Loves is the brand. Oh.
Anyway, we're going to begin with Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Whatever did happen to Baby Jane, Tombo?
I don't know, Joe. I was hoping you could tell us.
I will. It's a 1962 flicko, and it's starring Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. Kind of late in the game for them. They hadn't acted in a few years. They're getting old. They're doing this predecessor, first of its kind, black comedy horror flick. And the premise is as follows. Bette Davis is a star as a kid. Baby Jane, like a Shirley Temple-esque star, okay?
Right.
But then she starts flopping as her adult. Her sister, Joan Crawford's Blanche, isn't a star in the beginning, and it's kind of sad, but then becomes a star in the adulthood.
A movie star.
Right.
Okay.
And tries to keep Baby Jane, her sister, being a star too, but Bette Davis's Baby Jane can't act as a star.
As an adult.
As an adult.
I see.
Okay, so there's some civil rivalry going on here. There's some, like, envy, you know what I mean? It's that kind of scenario. Okay?
Interesting.
And, unfortunately, Joan Crawford's in a horrible car accident. Accident in question marks. The cops think someone ran her over. She's in a wheelchair from that point on. Her career's over, too. I'm analyzing some D'Italia society is... You get to see Bette Davis, that alcoholic, in the kitchen, replaying her role when she was a kid, thinking she still has it. She's planning a future as Baby Jane staging a comeback. So let's analyze this scene and pick up the vibes in that pad.
It's like a 90-year-old Shirley Temple singing Good Ship Lollipop.
Yeah, really. It's like, you know, we're talking about a flaccid lollipop. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's analyze.
Now, when I'm very good and do as I am told, I'm Mama's little angel and Papa says I'm good as gold. But when I'm very bad and answer back and sass, then I'm Mama's little devil and Papa says I've got the brass. Now, I wish that you would tell me, 'cause I'm much too young to know.
As you can see from that first scene, Bette Davis got very involved in her part. In the next scene we're going to look at, Bette Davis has gotten a little tired of caring for Joan Crawford. Her sister that's in the wheelchair needs to be waited on hand and foot. Betty's really not sure if she wants to keep doing it with the same enthusiasm as she had in the past. In this scene, Joe, Joan Crawford's noticed that her care has dropped off a little bit, and that she may be getting abused, possibly. So at this point, Joan Crawford's decided to call her doctor to discuss with professionals her relationship with her sister. And in this scene, we're going to see how Bette Davis reacts to Joan Crawford using the phone without permission. Let's take a look.
I'm not sure. I don't...
Very well. We aren't getting anywhere like this. I'll come over right away.
That was...
I know who it was.
No, Jane, it really was.
And I know what you're trying to do.
I'm not trying to do anything. Honestly, Jane.
Whatever happened to Baby Jane, I'll tell you. Excellent concept that drags a little in the making. I mean, they could have made this more exciting. The characters are too one-note in my opinion, and they don't show enough range. Bette Davis's Baby Jane is constantly like this big-eyed bidder, and Joan Crawford is constantly this helpless, nice, wimpy, won't speak up for herself. I mean, the ending partially explains Joan Crawford's character, Blanche. It partially explains Blanche's wimpiness to act when being really tortured. But still, you know, they're one note the whole movie, the two of them. So that's what I think of the acting as well. It's one note, okay? There's also a huge dose of unrealism in the picture. I mean, Joan Crawford's Blanche is supposedly on the upstairs in a wheelchair trapped. She's trying to get away from her sister planning to kill her or something like that. And yet she can yell out the window at any time to her neighbors who she's always looking at. She's got a perfectly strong voice, much like the Joje. The cinematography was excellent. This rich black and white, very contrasty, dark and spooky, and I'm glad the picture was in black and white. My final grade from 0 to 10 with decimal points is a 5.5. Just above the average mark, great concept, good cinematography, bad picture.
Joe, wrong again, America. This picture is a classic. It's a very interesting movie. Bette Davis, this is one of her command performances of her career. We're talking about a major star here. And I thought she was very interesting work. You know, her and Joan Crawford hated each other on the set.
Really?
They wanted to kill each other!
God, I can't imagine that!
I can't imagine how they'd ever think like that. Anyway, but in this film, I loved it. I gave it a 9.4.
Really?
I thought it was incredible. It's a bit of a mock horror, you know, drama horror.
Black comedy?
Yeah, black comedy. There you go. But I really loved it. You're right about, you know, why doesn't she yell out the window and some other weird things, but I got over it. It's not a totally realistic picture, but I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it ran well, and Bette Davis, you know, she's so evil, but
She has fun with the role.
she revels in it. She revels in it. As you said, Joan Crawford comes across as abused, mousy little woman who's just like, you know, a wonderful person, you know. And she's like young Audrey Hepburn or something. She's so frail. But meanwhile, in real life, she's beating the hell out of all these adopted children, and she's the insane mommy dearest.
That
so
bitch.
if you take into account that she's mommy dearest in real life, it's a tremendous acting performance because she's doing the opposite of what she normally does. Anyway, this film's a classic. I think Joe, he doesn't like black and white pictures. He doesn't
Bullshit!
like
The black and white was one of the best things about the film.
All right, so there you have it. There's no rationale for why Joe doesn't like this.
I gave a major rationale for why I didn't like this picture. Tom here is going with the masses, and that's his right.
So there you have it. I think it's
Yeah.
a classic. Check it out. See it now. One of the best movies I've ever seen.
And
Joe,
this
thanks.
picture didn't move me.
Didn't move him. And for me, this picture, you know, just takes you right off on a hell of a ride. It lasts 2 hours. Don't miss it. The next film we're going to look at is called ZARDOZ.
The Wrath of Flop. Of God.
It's a 1974 movie. It's a sci-fi film. It's written, produced, and directed by John Boorman of Excalibur fame, and it's starring Sean Connery as Zed the Brutal. Alright, what can we say about this movie? It's one of those day after doomsday type pictures, and it's a society in the future where there's basically two types of people. There's brutals that live, on the barren earth, and they're either kind of ignorant savages or they're brutal killers that chase the ignorant savages. So there's kind of two tribes there, the abused and the abusers. And then there's another group of people called the Eternals. They kind of live kind of like Greek gods, and they're intellectuals, they're anti-violence, anti-sex, and they live for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they're a totally separate society from the Brutals, but they dominate them and control them. The Brutals, they pray to a god called ZARDOZ. This is the Sean Connery in a big red diaper picture. So let's take a look at the first scene and tell me what you think of Baby Huey in the future.
But the gun shoots death and purifies the earth of the filth of brutals. Go forth and kill. ZARDOZ has spoken.
This is ZARDOZ speaking. The Wrath of Flop. I spew out guns and bad movies from the 70s.
Joe.
What? And this is not Joe.
I know it's you in there. I can see your second chin hanging out.
This is ZARDOZ.
Take the mask off and let's get with the program. Take the mask off.
Alright. Now what's the next scene? The next scene is, sorry.
Come on, pal of mine.
The tribe of Brutals invade and attempt to destroy the utopian society known as the Eternals. Sean Connery is in the scene. Let us analyze. In D'Italia.
We take life from you. Life flows out of you, flows into us.
He's not here.
So Tom, what'd you think of ZARDOZ?
Well, Joe, Excalibur it isn't. ZARDOZ. You know what ZARDOZ is, America? ZARDOZ is Monty Python meets Space 1999. It's just a muddled mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I had trouble following the plot. You have difficulty telling whether it's a dream sequence or it's really supposed to be taking place. There's some absurd characters. Sean Connery, yeah, he's a trooper. He sticks with
Hey, he has to wear a red diaper the whole picture. I'd call him a trooper.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good sport. Let's put it that way. But his supporting cast bites, and the plot, the script is awful. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of imagination. Don't try and make sense of this mess, because you're not going to be able to do so. Joe, just due to the creativity, really, I'm going to give it a 5, and I think I might be
Super generous. Super
I guess I am being generous. A 5.
But there is creativity involved. I mean, that's the one good thing about it. It's very 70s with, like I said, lots of cool colors and wacky costumes. And they attempt different things.
Come on, Joe, don't hold back.
But it's nonsensical, and I don't even have to say anything else. I agree with you. It's nonsensical. Trippy, but nonsensical. I give it a 3. I didn't get it. Boring.
It's chaos. What's your grade?
I gave it a 3.
Oh.
See ya.
Bye-bye. We're here this evening to review The Pawnbroker, a 1965 film directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Rod Steiger as Saul Nazarman. It's also got Geraldine Fitzgerald, Brock Peters, and music by Quincy Jones. You know, Joe, this film was done on location in New York City.
Harlem.
Filmed all over Harlem.
Great location.
Yes. In a nutshell, what this film is about is Rod Steiger is a World War II concentration camp survivor, a man who's been terrorized by the Nazis. He lost both his children and his wife in the war. They died in the war. He came to the United States after the war. He lives with relatives and seems to support them, and he runs a pawn shop in Harlem and deals with, you know, members of the Harlem community every day, and that's how he makes his money. So in this first thing we're going to look at, one of his favorite customers, or I wouldn't say that, one of his regular customers, thank you. One of his regular customers comes up to the window, a man he's been dealing with for years, a kindly old senior citizen, and lets Rod Steiger know that he has nothing left to pawn. It's a pretty sad scene, but an interesting scene. So, America, without further ado, let's take a look at it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nasserman. Mr. Nasserman, for some days now, I've been trying to give an idea, some sort of shape, a pattern. Not Mr. Socrates himself was on the very borderline of drama, right? Right. And look at Baudelaire, and all these strange, secret mysticism. And who knows, perhaps
exactly what was it that you came to pawn, Mr. Smith?
Pawn? Oh, of course, pawn. They did bring. I had somewhere.
Just stand still. Stand still for a minute. Now think. Just for once in your life, try to be rational and think exactly what you came in here to pawn.
Nothing. I had nothing to bring. I will miss talking to you.
Alrighty. Mr. Saul
Nazarman.
Not a very nice guy. In this next scene, his co-worker, a sweet, idyllic, the only protagonist in the film, in my opinion, nice guy, says something a little klutzy, mildly anti-Semitic. He asked Mr.
I'm sorry? Nazarman.
He asks, you're really enjoying that, Sammy, huh? He asks Mr. Nazarman, he's like, you Jews, you guys make a lot of money, how do you do it? And this is Mr. Nazarman's answer.
Hey, I'm a Jew without a lot of money.
At least you're honest. Alright, so let's check it out.
Clink.
This little brain, that's the real key, you see. But with this little brain, you go out and you buy a piece of cloth and you cut that cloth in two and you go out and sell it for a penny more than you paid for it. Then you run right out and buy another piece of cloth, cut it into 3 pieces and sell it for 3 pennies profit. But my friend, during that time, you must never succumb to buying an extra piece of bread for the table or a toy for a child. No, you must immediately run out and get yourself a still larger piece of cloth, and so you repeat this process over and over, and suddenly you discover something. You have no longer any desire, any temptation to dig into the earth to grow food or to gaze at a limitless land and call it your own. No, no. You just go on and on and on, repeating this process over the centuries, over and over, and suddenly you make a grand discovery. You have a mercantile heritage. You are a merchant. You're known as a usurer, a man with secret resources, a witch, a pawnbroker, a sheenie, a mucky, and a kite.
The Pawnbroker. Classic piece of American cinema. This picture is very well done. It's the greatest performance of Rod Steiger's career, classic American actor. It's got a wonderful soundtrack by Quincy Jones. It really gives the Harlem flavor. The shots are all done on location in Harlem, very well put together. I think Sidney Lumet came up with a classic. We all know about the traumas of war, being in a concentration camp, and this is about, the demons of 20 years after the fact. Sal Nazarman, which is a character played by Rod Steiger, is not a very likable character, and he's not caring to the people around him. He's caught up in his past. And what this movie is about is, can this man, emotionally numb, continue to, to walk through everyday life, just forgetting about the present problems and just harping on his past. And by the end of the movie, he finds he can't continue to live this lie, that the weight, of the trauma of the people around him, it has to be recognized. It's a very interesting movie, but it is a serious drama. Action's not flying left and right. It may be only for film noir intellectuals, but I think that, it should be seen. I give this movie a 9.1. Yeah, just as a final point, it really gives you the feel of what Harlem was like in '65.
And he was right. It's a good location, and it's nice black and white cinematography. It's great music by Quincy Jones.
It is
jazzy, Harlem-esque, bouncy, atmospheric. But the movie's not good. And the problem with the movie is Rod Steiger is so unlikable. He's excellent acting, but he's so unlikable that I begin to dislike him.
Does the character have to be likable to the audience for it to be a great film?
I thought so. I found it, first of all, the distressing, which to a degree is understandable. Show me what happened, what went down. I can respect that. But the distressing continued, and he was so negative. I went from distressing to bored. I started getting bored with this film as well. I gotta be honest, right?
It bums me. It bums you. That I can understand.
That's it.
And I'd have a hard time believing if you weren't bummed, because the movie is a downer. You can't argue that.
It doesn't pick me back up, and it doesn't even change the dimensions of its downism. It began to get me bored. I would have to give it a 4.5.
Oh, that's a ridiculous score.
Kudos to its honesty, though.
That's true. Man's giving an honest score here, and it takes a lot of guts.
I always give an honest score, and it does take guts, because I realize that politically it's all that. And I think that's important, but I gotta say, didn't carry it.
You don't think people should see it?
Well, see, it's a trick question, but it's a fair question, Tom, and this is why. I can, in all judgment, say no, people shouldn't see it, because I like what it represents.
Okay.
In fact, it's almost hard for me to be honest tonight and shred it, because I'm dealing with two different things. Politically speaking, I'm proud of this movie. I think it's courageous, guts, and I like what it stands for.
Good.
On an entertainment level, it bothered me after a while and bored me. So I didn't enjoy it. Use your discretion if you want to see it. That's what I'll have to say.
Okay.
It is a classic in one sense, but I didn't enjoy it.
It's not a happy ending picture.
I didn't enjoy it.
There is some ugliness here. The main character is not endearing to everyone, maybe not endearing to anyone. But on a film noir level, just for the way it's done, even though it's not pleasant, I say everyone should see it over a 9. Joe thinks it drags you just a little too far down. Maybe you should look into something else.
Yeah, right. That's very well put.
There you have it, America. The Pawnbroker on Chowtime.
All right, our last movie tonight is a movie called The End. Apropos, last review, The End. It's a 1978 black comedy directed by Burt Reynolds. Second movie he ever directed. He directed 1976's Gator. It's also starring Burt Reynolds, as well as Dom DeLuise and a cast of many. Robbie Benson,
Sally
Joanne
Fields,
Woodward.
Strother Martin, the whole world, Norman Fell, the whole
Yeah,
world.
oh, that's right, he's great.
He's a co-star. The whole world's in this movie.
This first scene we're going to show you is Burt Reynolds playing a character named Sonny Larson is attempted to commit suicide, and he's just been put in a nut home. And it is here, upon waking up from a coma of sleeping pills, that he comes across none other than Dom DeLuise. Let us check out this hilarious, hilarious scene.
Sane people make a lot of crazy rules. Do you like me?
Sure.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I don't know you very well.
Ah, you know all there is to know. Are you kidding? I'm very superficial. You said it. I know I said it. Leave me alone.
Are you rooming here with me?
Me?
Yeah.
No. No. Actually, I'm in the south wing. Ta-da! The south wing.
Popeye the Sailor.
No, I'm popular! I won! Yes!
Action!
Oh, God. Oh, yes. Time for the critique of the end. I love the end of the end. In fact, I love the whole picture. Seriously, this is a great black comedy that does indeed somehow manage to succeed in presenting a poignant and very, very funny portrait of death, dying, diseases, and suicide. Burt Reynolds
And that's a plus.
is hilarious. Man, that guy, now I know why he was a star. What a great deadpan role. I know he's bald and fake teeth, but God bless him, man.
We always wondered why he was a star.
Yeah, he's a star from that movie, shows it. Amazing star-making performance
It really
by
was.
Dom DeLuise.
So what do you give it, man?
Well, that's it. This movie's a must-see. I give it an 8.5.
Well, I have to say that we finally got, after all these weeks, Joe, some camaraderie on Chowtime.
There
What
you
I'm
go.
trying to say is that I too thought it was a great comedy.
Yeah.
Burt, and Dom DeLuise. Anyway, to sum up, in an ironic twist of fate, America, I give this film an 8.5.
Oh my God! Don't shake me with that hand.
Hey,
Talk
man.
about total agreement.
Total agreement.
Oh
You
my
looking at
God.
my notes?
No, were you looking at mine?
No.
All right.
Well, there you have it. Watch this film. It's great. The end.
Yeah.
On Chowtime.
But it's time for the food review! Sorry, I need this to get through. Alright. Subs. Deli. You think deli? They all look alike. Well, this deli is a fancy deli. Quite frankly, Tombo over here calls it the
Snotty Deli. It's great.
But it's a good deli. These subs are a little bit expensive, but $6.75 each for mine and the doctor's. Yours was $4 because you had a kind of a plain Jane one.
All me and a baguette.
Not to be confused with Baby Jane. But these subs have got everything.
I give this luscious sandwich chow an 8.7.
Mm-hmm.
Try it, and you'll like it. And you'll never get a small sandwich at this place. Always well made, well packed. This is not a blimpy sub.
Taste-wise, I give it a 9. Price-wise, it drives it home to a 7.75. But enjoy, people.
Delicious sandwiches here on the Lower East Side. Check the credits and get the address. You heard it on Chowtime.
Hey, Tom, you mind holding the TV a while? I'm getting sick of it. No, I refuse to hold the TV. Hold the pizza. Look, Tom, I'm sick of this crap. Seriously, just hold the goddamn TV. It's tiring me out. Fuck you. And the horse you came in on, pal. This is Showtime Video Review, and I'm in charge, see? Okay, it's like 1, 2, 3, chill. A little bit of Nesto, palo. Here's my intro in stereo.